Hi folks, this is Dr. Burke Mays of Pathways Integrative Health. I'm here talking with you today about a really common topic I hear a lot about, or that it's involved a lot of things I see with my patients, and that's leaky gut syndrome. Whether you're the person coming in with thyroid issues, with the indigestion, the brain fog, the aches and pains, the lack of focus, or it could be the mom with the young person with the food allergies, food sensitivities, eczema, skin issues, or it could be the athlete or the weekend warrior who's just trying to train and work out and is not recovering like they think that they should. And the common underlying thing is what we call leaky gut syndrome. And here's what it looks like. Definition. When the tight junctions of the intestinal mucosa are compromised and they become widened and permeable, which allows large undigested compounds, toxins, and bacteria into your bloodstream. So here's what happens. Here's what it looks like. You've got on this right side or left side of this picture is a normal, healthy healthy gut. We got the cells that make up the walls of the digestive system. We got these proteins that hold these cells together nice and tight. Then inside the intestines, you got your food and all the things that are literally actually technically still outside of your body. Sounds kind of gross, but you could run a string of your mouth out the other end because that's still outside your body. How's that for a topic for conversation? But once it crosses through these tight junctions in the gut, now it's inside your body, it's in your bloodstream. And what happens is your digestive system breaks your foods down to very, very small molecules, short molecules or short chains of proteins called peptides, 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe a little longer molecules long. Those get into your digestive system, into your bloodstream, and that's how it should look. But what can happen is those tight junctions break down. Excuse me. Now larger molecules, larger proteins get into your bloodstream. So that hamburger that you ate, or that gluten that you ate, or the dairy that you had, those proteins, instead of being digested down completely and being filtered through these tight junctions, get into the bloodstream as larger molecules. Now your immune system sees them as foreign, something to attack, and something that's a threat. So if you are that person who, you react to foods, or you find yourself reacting to foods, that's often the mechanism that starts all of that. So what causes leaky gut syndrome? Lots of things. You can have dietary proteins that aren't being well digested, being set up by low HCl and low enzymes in your digestive system. Those molecules don't break down, and they sit inside your gut, and they putrefy, and they rot, and they cause inflammation, which causes that gut wall to break down. Or now they are getting into your bloodstream. Now your immune system has to attack them or react to them, and you start that whole immune process. Can be antibiotics, throws off the balance of the good bacteria in your gut. Can be chronic infections, a parasite, or things like that. Blood sugar issues, antibodies. And that's a fancy word for your immune system reacts to things that you've already been exposed to previously, creating more inflammation and more immune response and worsening of the leaky gut situation. It can be pregnancy, stress. Stress is huge. Stress literally breaks your body down. We live in what the research says now. If you are a first world primate, that's us humans, you suffer from hypercortisol and hyper stress response. That causes your body to break down. Menopause will affect digestion. Toxins and food allergies, I'm going to talk more about in a minute. So what happens is when you get this breakdown of the gut barrier, now you start to create the foundation for autoimmune disease. You have these high levels of immune complexes floating in your bloodstream. Some molecules, some of these strands of proteins will look close enough to your own body's tissues that in your effort to destroy and to attack and destroy those proteins, your immune system starts to see yourself as foreign and starts to attack it. That's what we call autoimmunity. Very simplified, boiled down, but that can be one of the common mechanisms for it. We get food sensitivities. So food sensitivity, that's a symptom. It's not a problem. I get parents come in, they want me to check their kids for food sensitivities and figure out what foods they can and cannot eat. But really we're missing part of the boat. We're missing the cause, which is the leaky gut. The other thing we see in research is the nature of an avoidance diet that a food sensitivity creates leads to more food sensitivities. Because what happens, you start to eat more of different foods, and you still have the same undigested food molecules coming into the bloodstream, being reacted to being attacked by the immune system, leading to new sensitivities. I want to separate that from an allergy. That's actually a very distinct situation. That's like the peanut allergy where kids eat peanuts and they can't breathe. That's a whole different situation. We're talking about food sensitivities, which are reactions that cause more gut inflammation, more systemic inflammation. They affect brain function. They affect lots of things in our body. But food sensitivities, once you have one, the nature of trying to avoid things to avoid that food creates more food sensitivities because we're not looking at what actually caused it in the first place. And we get systemic inflammation. The inflammation is this: when if I sprain my wrist or my elbow, I get swelling, I get inflammation. That's normal. We're talking about systemic inflammation. That is a systemic, full body, everything is inflamed situation. All your tissues, your muscles, your brain, your organs, everything is being inflamed. And that is very hard on our body. And we're starting to learn now that inflammation is one of the key issues, foundational issues to a lot of different health issues that we experience in our culture. So we get the undigested compounds, we get the toxins, the parasites, the bacteria, they get through in the bloodstream. And the immune system forms antibodies, which essentially is the immune system comes by, puts a marker on it to tell other cells to come by and destroy it. So you get antibodies, those are markers that tell us that your body's reacting to something. So we get the antibodies, we get the inflammation, and we get the symptoms. And most of us spend a lot of our time chasing around the symptom. Doc, my body hurts, I'm achy, I have brain fog, I have whatever it might be. But we're looking back to what is the cause of all of it. And early in my chiropractic career, we always were told Socrates allegedly said, "For the source of all disease, look first to the spine." That was pretty cool for us as chiropractors. However, as time goes on, I'm seeing more and more, for the source of all disease, look first to the gut. As we look at a lot of these different conditions people suffer with on a daily basis, digestive issues, the bloating, the heartburn, the diarrhea, the upset tummy, the whole gut things like IBS, Crohn's, celiac disease, those are all leaky gut issues. We look at some other conditions like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, depression, autism, ADD, ADHD. Those all have systemic inflammation as an underlying issue. Poor thyroid function. You convert about 20% of your thyroid hormone to the active form in the gut. If your gut's not working, you don't do that conversion. Plus, if you have systemic inflammation, it affects all your hormones, all your hormone activity. Weight gain. Listen, if your gut is thrown off, we're starting to learn now there is a microbiome, the good bacteria in your gut of a lean person, and there's another kind of biome for a person who is overweight. So that's why you see people, they're doing all the right things, they're eating the right stuff, they're doing the right exercise. Their body weight's not changing. Often it is inflammation and disruption of the gut biome. Brain fog. One of the things I touched on earlier is there's the proteins that hold the gut together. Those are the identical proteins in the blood-brain barrier. So when the gut barrier breaks down, so does that blood-brain barrier. So now things get around the brain that cause inflammation, that cause brain changes. Asthma, allergies, arthritis, chronic fatigue, pain, those are all signs of chronic inflammation. We got lupus, that's autoimmunity. We get ear infections, tonsillitis, inflammation again. We also know that the tonsils are the very last part of tissue of the gut. So if the gut's inflamed, so are the tonsils. So people dealing with tonsillitis and ear infections, very often there's an underlying leaky gut and gut inflammation happening. Then we get into some other immune issues, rosacea, psoriasis, Hashimoto's, migraine headaches. I see that a lot where the body's in a chronic inflammatory state and that blood-brain barrier is broken down. That creates that inflammation that makes that person more prone to a migraine headache. And lastly, any autoimmune condition, anything that puts stress on the immune system, where the immune system is reacting to foreign proteins, really often it can start to misidentify and confuse your body tissues for, say, the chains of proteins that are in dairy or the chains of proteins that are in wheat. There are similarities. So what do we do? There's 5 steps you can take right away. Some of them are really simple. Correct the diet. Listen, if your condition is aggravated by food sensitivities, you got to get those foods out of your environment. You got to get those out of your gut. Processed foods. We're starting to see what we know now is that you feed somebody processed food, your immune system reacts to them because as being something foreign. Getting rid of excess sugar, high fructose corn syrup, sodas, fast foods. Eat real food. Stop popping pills. I mean, I can't tell somebody to stop taking medication, but just kind of think about it and look at it and start to consider. Things like Tums, Rolaids, prescription or over-the-counter acid inhibitors, those are taken as a response to a symptom of poor digestion. And taking those medications makes that worse. And then we get things like your painkillers, the Advils, the Tylenols, the NSAIDs. Those, they inflame the gut, they cause the gut to break down. And they also can very often lead to peptic ulcers, which is another kind of gut inflammation. You want to eliminate the gut inflammation. Those are gut infections. Those are things you probably can't do on your own. That's looking at the bacterial, the parasites, the fungus, the bad guys that cause damage to your fragile cells. Someone's restoring that normal gut biome. I want to reduce stress. I can and will do a whole videos on the stress response. But chronic activation of stress hormones breaks down gut tissue. And then the gut cells need that parasympathetic activity. Your nervous system has sympathetic activity, that's your fight or flight. And there's the parasympathetic, the housekeeping. We spend most of our time in fight or flight. That's just kind of the nature of our world, unfortunately. Supplementation, you want to have good amino acids that can support building blocks of gut cells. Some of my favorites now these days are things that help stem cell production. Things like ace-mannan and Ganoderma all will help increase stem cell production. The enzymes to aid digestion, antimicrobial herbs, probiotics, HCl support, vitamin D, glutathione. All of those molecules will help restore that gut barrier and help your immune system, your body start to heal. And basically it comes down to the end of the day, the underlying cause must be addressed. And, that can be simple, that can be complex, but it's almost always for all of my chronic patients, this is a really key thing to deal with because we have to get the body healthy so they can start to heal. Hope this is informative for you. Watch out for other videos on my YouTube channel, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.